Hi, this is Ken Boothe, and I never knew TV. Remember, don't shift that remote. Ken Boothe says so. Well, the first place that have inspired us, right, is America with the blues. And I grew up into a family who, while I was growing up, my sister, my mother, eldest child, is a woman, right? She sings the blues, but like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, these kind of people, and I'm the last one. And I always admire her and her singing. But America is a place that we got our inspiration from, the blues, because in Jamaica we have a music, an indigenous music, right, that we fused together with the blues, and that's how we got the ska. The name of the music, this song is Mentor. A sort of, it's a traditional thing, as a Jamaican thing that people from the countryside, not Kingston, but the countryside, they play Mentor with the bass, that they sit on, yeah, doom, doom, and the banjo, and the drums. So America is the first place that inspires us when it comes to where the music is now, right? Without America, the blues, it wouldn't got where it is right now, and the Mentor music. Because there's a band in Jamaica they call the Starlight during those times. What they did was to fuse the Mentor with the blues. And at first, it was like, and you can hear the check, check. And out of that blues sound, the Starlight, some of the, I don't know who really started it, right, that sound, but I know that I heard that it's Ernie Wrangling. I heard about a lot of people, but during that period now, like when I started out, right, Sir Coxon started me out with the blues, singing R&B.
So you were singing straight R&B when you started?
When I started out. But people start to identify with the ska. And so these songs that I've done during that time, R&B, they sold but never sold that well. Because the ska were taking over Jamaica. But we have a lot to thankful for when it comes to the United States of America. And we're talking about black music now. No prejudice, no racism, no nothing. That's the sound. Because the blues, as you know, is coming out of slavery. In other words, people picking the cotton and all that, and people sing songs just to soothe the soul. And the blues is also a reality. It's reality. It's what people live. That's what they sing. And so when in Jamaica it has started with the sound system, because Jamaica people weren't that fortunate. We grew up in the colonial days where your mother and father, they bred you and fed you, but they weren't as well off, financially speaking, as other people do. So out of that now, right? As I said before, we have to give thanks to America, but then the scandal, as I said before, right?
Before you continue, right, with the ska, was Coxon bringing music from America, assisting towards?
That's what I was trying to get at, yeah. Because the sound system is what we started listening to first. Like Duke Reed, Sir Coxon, when they go away to the United States, they would brought back with them the blues. People like Louis Jordan, Roscoe Garden. Even me, when I started out singing, these are the songs that I grew on, you know. And Roscoe Garden, Louis Jordan, Louis Primo, even Louis Satchmo, you know, and then you have Laverne Baker's Women. I don't quite remember some of the names, but these are the 50s now. And during the 50s, I was a young boy, and that's the music I grew up on, you know.
So what age was this, like teenagers or still?
Teenager, yeah. I started singing like from about 7 years old. You know, I remember my mother took me to the YMCA.
So what was the outlet for singing? Was it like what do you call it, church, or was it like stage events like community?
My mother, right, she used to take me to church with her. You know, and my mother is a good singer, you know. She's where I got all of my talent from, you know, and my sister. I remember she used to take me to church with her. And when she washes our clothes, you know, our garments, she sings a lot. That's what comfort her, you know. And she have a big sound like Mayella Jackson. That's how she sound, you know. But music in Jamaica is just like America. Some of it is coming out of frustration, you know, exploitation, you know, and frustration, all of those things together. And then it comes out of you, you know, like singing. It comforts you, although you're feeling so much pain and going through so much sorrow. When you sing, you know, when you sing, it gives you comfort. And I just imagine in the days of slavery, when people sing, right, that's the only comfort they really have during that period of time. And so it's the same thing we go through in Jamaica, because we grew up in where they call the ghetto. Now that I grew up, I realized that I'd more want to say it's a poor community, you know, with people who is not fortunate as other people do. And so they to show that we are not that fortunate, they call it the ghetto, because the first thing is that the houses that we live into those days are built by the government, because our people can't afford to buy a house. So I remember I grew up into what they call government houses, you know.
What area, just on what area of Jamaica you grew up in? What area in Jamaica did you grow up in?
In Denham Town, the heart of Kingston, where sometimes people make names for places that, when you look at those names, it put fear. It put fear into even the people that visit Jamaica, foreigners. Because when you call a place like Arnett Garden, Jungle, they call Tivoli Garden, right? They call it Tivoli. Man just say Tivoli. Like as if these communities just pure bad people come from there. All these people that even using the gun and all that, the parents, they didn't grow that way. You know, so, but out of that, right, as I said, that nothing good couldn't come out of Nazareth, and Christ, the living God, you know. So it's just like in the poor communities, they said nothing no good down there. So now, when it comes to heart, you know, some of the best soccer players, boxers, you know, like Bonnie Grant, Percy Hayes, you know, and then you have the cricketers like Carly Smith, you know, some of the greatest cricketers. Then the singers now and players of instruments. All these people grew up in where they call the ghetto. And I remember they call, they another part of Jamaica they call Uptown, like where you have Manhattan, They said downtown or uptown. And I remember that when I was growing up, when we started to write songs, we wrote songs that even the people that uptown, they can't believe that it's we from the poorer community that wrote these songs.
I'm glad you said that. Like originally when music started playing, right? Let's go with, I put Ska and Rocksteady together. Was Uptown accepting that music, or was it more?
No, they didn't.
More American music.
Yeah, they were listening to more like jazz and Marco. This is the music that inspires us. But when we start to identify with that sound, the ska, most people didn't intuit uptown. But when they realize that it is here to stay, they start to inquire now and listen. And even the uptown bands start playing these songs. Or, I remember when Byron Lee came to my home one day. I think he sent to my home one of his worker to come and book me for a show. And my mother is the first one that they saw, right? And she ran. Though she was so happy. Because when you heard that uptown people come in the ghetto, what they call ghetto, and want to know about you, what you're doing, and want to be a part of that, my mother ran in such a joy. Ken, you know who sent to you? Byron Lee, And these are uptown people, coming downtown now.
What was the age when you were with Byron Lee?
Not with.
Or
I used to, like Byron Lee, he have many different artists because he's a show band. His band is a show band. So one of the first band I started to sing with is Byron Lee at the Carib Theatre, and those days were theatre they kept showing to.
So at that time, were you doing covers or did you try any original songs there?
Well, his original songs were singing.
Yeah.
That's what brought these people to us.
What was the original song you were singing with Byron Lee's?
Well, when I was singing with Byron Lee, I wasn't a solo singer 100 as yet. I sang with Stranger Cole as a duo.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, so I remember one of the songs, you keep running away, my love. You keep running away from me. You keep running away, my love. Please come back to me. I'm kind of hoarse now, but it's one of the songs that I remember that we did for him. And I remember at one time to that Atlantic American company, the music started to have so much effect on the world. Now it started,
This is late 50s?
No, like going up in the 60s now, right? Because England is the first place that have embraced our music, Jamaican music. Outside of Jamaica, England is the first place.
I wanted to ask you, what was the market for the music then? Because I know Jamaica is a small market in regards to selling songs and touring. So
good question.
England came into play.
Funny enough, to know that technology is where it is now. You have more tracks in the studio. Everything is more now. And during that time, when we were recording for Studio One, it was a jukebox craze. Jukebox in every club, bars, and the sound system. There was so much sound system all over Jamaica that we guys used to sold like 80,000 records.
Oh, man. So it was a market down there.
Yeah.
Big time.
There were people to come to the music, and now in Jamaica, sold 10,000 records good.
Seriously.
And I mean, there's more technology now, than then.
Like moving forward, were you with Treasure Isle or Explain? Were you with downbeat and
The first time I'm going to record was for Juke Reed as a duo with Stranger Cole. I met Stranger, you know, because we all live in the same community, you know. So for me to get in this business, it's through Stranger Cole. He was already a big star, you know. He's a genius. He sang with Patsy as a female. She lives in America, you know. He had a group, about 4 of them. He sang on his own, and then I met him. And we fell, that musical love between each other. And then everybody else drift. And just me and him alone. And so he decided to let me go, took me to Juke Reed for an audition. And when I went there, I was 15 years old. And Juke Reed, it was kind of easy for me because Stranger was already a big star singing for Juke Reed. Yeah, you know. But when he took me there, he said, Juke, I have this young man that can sing, and both of us wrote the song. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. 6 long years, you leave my home. Come back, come back, come back, come back, back to me. Oh, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Years you leave me. That's the first song I've recorded. First recording. I remember when you do an audition, right? You have to sing for the producer. So when me and Trina sing the song, at first when Trina introduced me to him, he said, "Well, you're going to look a fat boy," because I was, you know, young and fluffy, you know. So Juke said, "Fat, him can't sing," and him said, "Sing for me." And when me and Trina started singing, there's one thing I'm sure of about a producer in those days. When they hear talent, you don't have to sing out the whole song. When me and Trina go, uno, dos, tres, him no say, upstairs, studio. Because studio is upstairs.
Who are some of the musicians at the studio?
This is what we're going to get to know.
Yeah.
Roland Alfonso, Tommy McCook. Then those days were Jum Dago.
Yeah.
There's a great drummer, Jum Dago. And then you have Brevet, Light Brevet, that plays the stand-up bass. And you have Jerry.
So these were members of the Starlight, but now
they are the ones that turned this to the Starlight that the whole world know about up till now. And those days, it's only 2 tracks. So the singer and the band have to record the same time. So if you make one mistake, you have to start all over again. And I remember when Juke said, "Go record." When I went upstairs, and when I look at Roland Alfonso, all these great musicians, you know, I prayed. I said, "Lord, let me go through this," because I didn't have no other way to, financially speaking, as a young man, you know. I grew up into a singing family, a musical family, so I would have to say that I'm ordained for this. But I remember that when they run down the song a couple of times, because I remember, you know, everything have to go on the tape one time.
Quick question:
yeah?
How did the rhythm come about? Because I know you got the melody. But
all right, but people like Tommy McCook and Roland, all of them, great musicians. Dan Drummers, they would sit down. And one would play a thing and everybody said yes. Another one play a bass, we would play a bass line. And Tommy, he would be the one who responds for the arrangement. So he would say yes. And then when everybody have a sound, something to accompany the song, everybody will say yes, this is what we want.
So it was a communal development with the music.
Yeah, it was like a family. it was no individual thing. Everybody have an input into it, you know. So when they do the arrangement and they run it down a couple of times, when the red light, you know, those days it's red light, you know, it's recording time. And you know, it's only one cut me and Stranger did. It must, because we guys rehearse every day a cappella, and I do the instrument with my mouth, you know, we were doing some little background. And but one cut.
Did Duke Reed fire any shots during that recording? I said, did Duke Reed fire any shots during that recording?
Him never used to fire no shot yet.
No? All right, let's move on. Let's go about your first recorded single. Your first single that you recorded as a single artist.
As a solo artist.
Solo artist, yes.
Well, let me. You see, when it's a Stranger, those days now, I don't love to say it, but that's how people describe it, that Sir Coxsone is the Motown of Jamaica. So he had the best solo singer, woman singer, you know, female singers, and it's like it's a barrier to break. Then Stranger wanted to break that barrier too, although he's a big star for Duke Reed. But when you hear about Sir Coxsone, the musicians that played for him, and you know, so me and Stranger decided that we're going there for, and as I told you before, that it was so easy for me, both way, for Duke Reed and Sir Coxsone, because when Sir Coxsone saw us came in the studio, when he saw Stranger call, his eyes, every part of him light up, because this is the artist who have name already. But I don't have no name. Just Una does that we sang for Duke Reed. People know about me through that, but I didn't have no big name, so we wrote 2 songs. Artibella, my pretty little darling, please come home to me. Artibella, I saw you with a fella, and I don't like the idea. That's one we wrote, right?
Real quick.
Eh?
How did you come up with that song that transcended time? We're looking at what, almost 50 years right now. So how did you come up with that?
Even Snoop Lion adapted the song. Yeah. And how I came up with this song, right? In Jamaica those days, there was a program that for Indians, an Indian program, because these people been promoting their culture for years, you know, the Indians in Jamaica, you know. So they have this Indian program every Sunday. And the theme song for the program were like, and I turned that melody and put English to it. That's how that song came about. And then we wrote World's Fair.
Yeah.
Now, in 1962, I think, when the World's Fair was here in 62, right? World's Fair in New York. World's Fair, yeah, where they show off a lot of different stuff. We didn't even know about a plane, not even a train. And we wrote the song, you know, as if we're traveling now. Took my girl to the World's Fair and let her choose all she need there. Now you choose, bump, town, dump, town. You know what I mean? And we didn't travel. But me and Stranger can sit down. We sat down and we imagine, you know, what is happening, and you know, at the World's Fair, and we see books. I know that they're showing off cars, they're showing off. So we just turned it to a love song, you know. Yes, and we went to Sir Coxsone, and we did both of them for him, and he released both of them, and they were big sellers.
What do you think? What's the difference between Treasure Isle and Studio One? What do you think the differences were in regards to just the production, the environment, and both producers?
I think Sir Coxsone have more ears. Yeah. and his taste is, both of them, you know, have good taste. But Sir Coxsone, he had a different kind of approach. Because if you notice, it's Sir Coxsone that actually highlight, both of them, you know, the two of them, is the two company, Treasure Isle and Studio One, that really highlight this music and make it what it is today. But Sir Coxsone, he researched music so much that he would go to America, right? And when he got back from America, he would brought back with him songs that already done by other artists in America. But you know who to choose to do what song.
That's the next thing I was going to ask you, right? Like,
Yeah. Even moving away these songs, in every part of me, I can feel you're moving away. These songs are adapted songs. And we guys do these songs and make them worldwide.
Yeah, like how do you keep the essence of a song but redo it to where it's better than the original? Like how do you like choose? Because obviously we can't just pick any song and redo it. So would Coxsone present a song to the band and they say, yo, we can't really catch it or really present it to artists?
What he would do, right, is to, because Jackie Me Too,
Genius.
He was the arranger, right, for the band. So what Sir Coxsone do is to, he would let me, he would give me a 45 and said, Ken, you do this one. He gave Delroy Wilson one, gave Wailers, because he gave Wailers the impression.